Hey, welcome back to the channel. I'm sorry I lied to you about working on the flaperons next. I've got this theory that if I don't feel right about it yet, just don't do it. And it's usually fear-based, which is not a logical thing, but I've thought it through a lot and I'm not quite there yet. As soon as I get to where I think I've got it all figured out, then I'm gonna go for it, because these things are not easily replaced. So instead, I saw an uptick in the video that I put out where I showed this little boot here, and I'm going to show you what I'm going to do with it in this video. So if you care about that, stick around. It's commonly known that these are kind of a little bit of an issue area, that little metal plate that goes in here from the other side sometimes binds, or the bolt, the nut on the backside hits it. I've seen that in other videos, and the people have made remarks on my videos that carbon monoxide is an issue coming in these holes here. So I've seen where other people have sealed these off, and I just happened to find this on Amazon. I'll write about it in the description in case you're curious. But the dimensions to me are great. They fit between these rivets here. They will be a little off center, but that's okay. It's got plenty of space inside there. We'll see once I go to put it on. But the first thing I wanted to do is seal good to this wall. And the other nice thing is, out here in the front, it's going to be riveted behind this, and this will act as a heat buffer if there was a fire. So that's great. And this surface here is nice and smooth, and if I make a nice solid ring to put around there, I just got to decide how many rivets so that it doesn't pucker and how thick to go. So of course the first thing I probably should do is take these rods back off. It was a good trial run getting the bolts and washers all hooked up. That's just a nice way of saying I wish I wouldn't have put that together yet. But anyway, the only other thing that I really need to figure out is I don't want to squish this down and make it buckle to seal. So I didn't have any fuel line that was exactly the size, which ended up being kind of a blessing. I cut this down so that it would squeeze around it and match the size exactly when it's compressed with this. And the nice part about that is it's removable. This I like. So first thing I'm going to do is make a ring, a retaining ring, and I got to figure out how many holes to put on that. All right, well, I've already pre-drawn up some ideas for this. This is 40 thousandths, quite stiff. I don't want to use anything thinner, because I'm afraid it's just gonna, when I riveted it up, because I do want to do it with rivets, not screws, I want to use A4s, something really tiny in there, and hopefully keep it hid behind that double panel I just showed you. But the idea is I don't want a ton of them, but I don't want it all puckered and bouncy either. So I'm going to get to cutting these out and getting them cleaned up, and hopefully they'll look like something I bought when I'm done. That's the challenge. I wish I'd have had the perfect radius, but I didn't. My hole saw was tiny, a little bit tinier, and my next one up was a little bigger. Isn't that how it always works? One thing I need is a sander. I should probably order one of them. It would be so much faster to sit that on there and just rotate it around on a rotisserie sander. Yeah, it's looking pretty good. Now I got to figure out how to get this out. Well, the first one's done. It ain't perfect, but I sure earned that part. Let's see how it fits. It's good. A little extra around the edges to make sure that it pushes that edge down. Well, as you can see, it fits perfectly between the two rivet lines, but to get it up off so it seals and not touch those L angles, it will go all the way down, but I prefer it down there. Now I just got to decide. Then I'd have to put a rivet through. Then I'd have to put a rivet through the angles. But now I got to check how much room over here I've got for rivets. I have no problem with putting one on the bottom because that's right between the two rivets. And you can go between just fine. It'll be off center. I'll mark it on that so that it's in the proper spot. But it just won't look good. But it'll be in the right spot. At least closer to the right spot. Ah, decisions. I was just testing the angle from where this is going to be. That's the highest most point right there. And when you put that rubber around in that spot, you can get to the very bottom of that hole with the rod and it doesn't overbind the rubber boot. And when you come in, when you go out, it will move just fine. All the way to the very top, all the way to the bottom. And that's what we want. One of the problems I ran into right away was the fact that the rivets going through right here are going to run into the structure. They're almost exactly at that structure. And there's not enough room to go right here on the edge. So what I'm thinking is putting the bracket on here, riveting this material to this, and this extra thickness of this bracket is going to give it even more support. This will be a hole for the rivet that you see back there in its way, and this clears the other two, and putting out here will, and not bending a step into this, but just riveting it down and having that be the stress that pulls the rubber up against the firewall. I will put them as close as I can so there's less flex. But this is really sturdy stuff, 40 thousandths. So that's the part of the build that I'm stuck on right now. The other thing I'm doing is I'm leaving the rivets, the A4s flat, so they gather more of the rubber material. And I'm not pulling them all the way through. I'm just riveting them up until it just starts to squish down in, so my sealer will have a place. And that's what it looks like. It isn't squeezing it down too far, but just enough that when this gets compressed, the rivet isn't in the way, and it will let it still seal all the way around. That's why I wanted to keep the rivet as small as possible. And I think that's going to work good. I'm probably going to shave this off though, and keep my two rivets here closer to this edge so it'll give it more support when I do pull the rivet through. Well, a slight joggle was necessary. When that was pushed down, when it was straight and just had a tension on it, it liked to lift up on this. So this is a way I could bend this a little bit past flat, so that when it squishes down, it actually pulls it a little bit harder. So that worked out better. And now I got the length that I want. I'm not going to be able to put the rivets between the others. They'll be out a ways. And just for good measure, I countersunk and put some solid rivets in because these aren't going to be pulled all the way. So this will be where the strength retains it. These will be where it retains the rubber from sliding out. What you have to consider is you got to take this off, because when you drill these holes, you don't want to damage the backside, or when you rivet these, you need that extra room so you don't have to cut your rivets down, and it comes off really easy. Then the second question is, do you even need this at all? It does lend a little bit of support. After those rivets are put in, a guy can just put those A5s right back in, I believe. They'll clear in the back, and so you'll get a little more support on this part of the vibration of the back end. So you gotta make it. Oh, let's go from the other side. I really like how it's turning out. I just gotta denib it and denib the firewall, and I can rivet that one up and start on the other side. So, I just ran into the wing. So this is what it looks like from this side with that bracket. And I suppose you could make it as one piece, but I like that because we're reaching out so far to get those two rivets on the far right center, that lends support pushing it down. And I don't know if I'm gonna have to seal this. The rivets really do pull it down and it's quite rubbery. I mean, it's flexible, very, very nice. It's actually moving in around those angle irons and sealing the bottom. So I'm gonna get to that and then we'll be done with this one. Okay, quick recap. Well, a quick recap. Get a boot from Amazon or wherever you like, but Amazon has these. You look down in the description, it'll tell you if I can make a link. I've tried it before, it doesn't really work good, but if I can make a link, I will. Make yourself a ring, add this to it in your dimensions, or make an extra one so that you have more strength pushing down on it so that there's less flex here because your rivets are out a good 1.5 inches. That was my logic. If you do go that route, rivet yourself 2 nice solid rivets. So this is part of it, because these aren't going to be pulled up all the way. Pull these up slightly, just enough to hold the rubber from sliding back in, and you got plenty of surface on each side for it to seal. And it is quite gushy, if that's a good word for it. And it does seal up down at the bottom around those angle pieces really nice. They sink right in. I don't see any daylight, so I am going to clean. I already cleaned and denibbed. I'm going to rivet this up now, and I'm going to put my front plates back on if the rivet's clear behind it, because there's really no sense in not doing it. It does maybe help vibration. Who knows what. Anyway, that's it. Well, that puckered outside, the steel puckered down a little bit because the rubber is so flexible. This is the one that really matters. By the L angle. Well, it was obvious to me that it needed a washer on there to reach out and get a little bit bigger grip, and it needed to go up to an A5 on that bottom hole because there's just too many layers to go through. And it gripped nicely. It could go out, I think, 5 millimeters, and the head is right there. Come on, focus. The head's right there. The rest of them are A4s, and now I can go ahead and put that cover back on, and I think we'll be up and running. Like that, we're back. The only thing I got to do now is drill these out and start on the second one. The first one or the second one, hopefully will turn out better. I don't know how much it could turn out any better, except for some of my clearances over on the other side. I had to notch out for that rivet because I wanted it over just as far as I possibly could get it. And yeah, it's all riveted in. It's squished down there really good. The pipe fits in, the tube fits in and goes all the way to the bottom and the top and has plenty of play. I am really happy. If this helps you guys, and we all have this to deal with that are doing the 750s and the 701s, I believe, maybe even the 601s, but this is a nice little fix. It fits in there good, and of course, just like anything you build, it's got a little finagling going on, but good luck with your build, and I hope this helps somebody, and hey, we'll see you in the next one.